What if the Bible wasn't just a collection of stories and laws, but an intricate piece of cryptography? Today, we're diving into a theory that claims there's a hidden mathematical code woven into the very fabric of the text, with the name of Jesus right at the heart of it all.
So let's just get right to it. The big question this whole idea is built on. Is it even possible that the Bible, one of the most studied books in human history, is secretly written in a numerical code?
Well, according to one really fascinating theory, the answer is a huge yes. Its supporters argue that just beneath the surface of the words, there's this profound mathematical pattern, one that can be unlocked if you have the right key.
So where do you even begin with a code like this? Well, it doesn't start with a chapter or a verse. Nope, it all starts with a single, powerful name.
The main tool used for this theory is an ancient practice called Gematria. It's actually pretty simple when you break it down. In languages like Hebrew and Greek, every letter also doubles as a number. So you can take any word or name, add up the values for each letter, and get a single number that represents that word.
Now, here's the thing. The theory says we shouldn't be looking at the English name Jesus. No, we have to go back to the original Hebrew form, which is Joshua, a name that means God is salvation. And this, they claim, is where the first piece of the puzzle is hiding.
Okay, so when you run the Hebrew name Joshua through this Gematria system, what number pops out? It's 391. Now you're going to want to remember that number. Seriously, according to this theory, it is one of the most important numbers there is.
Okay, so if you have this important number, 391, where would you hide it? Well, the theory says the most obvious place you could imagine, the very first word of the entire Bible.
All right, check this out. On one side, you've got the very first word of the Bible, Bereshit, which means in the beginning. Its Gematria value is 913. Then, on the other side, we have the value for Joshua, which we already know is 391. Now you look at those two numbers, 913 and 391. They don't look related at all, right? But this is where things get really wild and take a very modern twist.
To see the supposed connection, we actually have to jump from ancient texts to modern computers. We need to talk about hexadecimal. It's a base 16 number system, and it's fundamental for computer programming. Now you might be thinking, hold on, a computer number system for an ancient book? And yeah, that's a fair question, but just stick with me, because this is the absolute linchpin of the whole theory.
And here it is. This is the first bombshell of the Jesus code theory. You take that number for the Bible's first word, 913, and you run a simple conversion on it from our normal decimal system into hexadecimal. And what do you get? 391, the exact same number as the value for Joshua.
This first link, it's like the key that unlocks the next part of the puzzle. Proponents of this theory call it the master key to the whole thing, this really deep repeating pattern between the numbers 3 and 7.
Okay, so there's actually another way to get a number from a name. It's called the ordinal value. It's even simpler than Gematria. You just look at where each letter falls in the alphabet and add those numbers up. And for Joshua, that ordinal value comes out to 58.
So how does 58 tie into this 3-7 thing? Well, check out this beautiful little piece of math. You take 3 squared, that's 9, and you add it to 7 squared, which is 49. And what does 9 plus 49 give you? You guessed it, 58, the exact ordinal value of Joshua.
All right, for this next part, we need a quick high school math refresher on two kinds of numbers. First up, you've got your prime numbers. Remember those? They're the superstars, only divisible by 1 and themselves, like 2, 3, 5, 7. They're kind of like the basic atoms of the number world.
And then you have everything else. All the numbers greater than 1 that aren't prime, those are called composite numbers. So, 4, 6, 8, 9, they're the counterparts to the primes.
Okay, this is where the theory says that 3-7 code really flexes its muscles. So, follow this calculation. First, you take the first 37 composite numbers and add them all up. That gives you 1103. Then, you take all the prime numbers up to 73 and add them all up. That gives you 712. And now for the final step. You subtract that second number from the first. And what's the result? 391. It brings us right back home to the Gematria value of Joshua.
But the theory doesn't just stay inside the pages of the Bible. Oh no, the people who back this idea claim the code literally spills out into the fundamental constants of the universe itself. And the most famous one of all, the number pi.
So what you're looking at right here are the first 169 digits of pi.
You know, that never-ending, totally random-looking number that's so crucial to, well, everything. The theory says there's a secret hiding in plain sight, right inside this jumble of digits. Now, what if you were to sit down and add up every single one of these first 169 digits? You know, 3 plus 1 plus 4 plus 1 plus 5 and on and on. Well, the grand total you'd end up with is 754. Okay, so what? It's just a number, right? Not according to this theory. And here's the kicker. If you switch from Hebrew Gematria to Greek Gematria, and you calculate the numerical value for the full name Jesus Christ, the number you get is exactly 754, a perfect one-to-one match, a fundamental constant of the universe and the name at the very center of the Bible.
From this point, the theory just explodes into what its believers call this massive, all-encompassing web of numerical connections, a pattern that seems to link everything together.
And this is where the web just gets bigger and bigger, and it all seems to circle around the number 316. For example, proponents will point out that a different Hebrew spelling for Jesus, Yeshua, equals 316. Then they'll show you that 7 cubed minus 3 cubed also equals 316. What about the combined ordinal values of the 4 gospel writers, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? Yep, 316 again. And all of this, they say, is designed to point you straight to one of the most well-known verses in the entire New Testament, John 3:16.
And that brings us right back to the biggest question of all. Are these real meaningful patterns, evidence of some kind of hidden divine design? Or are they just really magnificent coincidences? The kind of thing that can happen when you have infinite numbers to play with and a human brain that's hardwired to find patterns in the chaos. That is the question this incredible theory leaves us all to think about.